And the next voice you hear after this little bit of music will be that of SOTU. Thank you, Josh. Here we go.
As you begin to be able to move into a place where you are able to manifest your reality more and more consciously, as you take more and more responsibility for that dynamic, you move into mastery. There are different phases. You know, most people are locked into a dynamic of a linear timeline where they experience the dynamic of that paradoxical energy as either good or bad. And that's, you know, very adolescent paradigm, but that is a reflection of the energy that exists in your world right now, black and white, either or. Now, in the dynamics, now it's easier to understand paradox when one can understand the, shall we say, the strict definitions of either end of a paradox, but the dynamic ultimately is that there are truth and lies in both ends of it. Let's call it light shadow and dark shadow. You know, light shadow really has that whole dynamic of greater good, of wishing to, of love, of healing, of all of that dynamic behind it, but it is also energetically very weak and very naive and very much abused. And dark shadow is the type, it's that side of self that can manipulate, but can do all sorts of negative things and can cheat and steal and murder and all of those things. But at the same time, it is the piece of self that, if you look at it, it has a real dynamic of power attached to it. So you need the power of the dynamic of your dark shadow, along with the morality and the truth and the doing the right thing part of your light shadow. And when you put both of them together simultaneously, the truths and the lies in both ends of that paradox, you can rise above to a third position. Now, that third position is originally rooted in what we call the sacred I am, which is really just kind of a form of identity. When you learn to operate from that paradigm, when you learn to operate from that third position, you move to a more quantum place of knowing, and from that place of knowing, you can develop mastery.
Wow, thank you for that teaching. That's powerful. So to move to the sacred I am is a matter of practicing the presence of love within me, you know, clearing out some of the thinking or beliefs that I might have that prevent me from recognizing that I am or realizing that I am.
Sure, it's that dynamic. It's that dynamic. It's the dynamic that keeps you locked in one opinion, one way or another. You know, the easiest way right now is the political situation that exists in your country. You're either a Democrat or you're a Republican, but the truth of the matter is that true mastery will be found in the truths, in the positive aspects of both. And so when you can gain that dynamic of that understanding of both, you can rise above it. And from that place that's above it, you can gain a certain dynamic of an even greater objectivity, and you can come to peace with the issue within yourself. It is by coming to peace with the issues within yourself that you will be able to move completely away from the dynamic of toxicity that is existing through the divisiveness that is now manifesting in the pandemic.
Whoa. Oh, that's awesome. I have to take a big deep breath on that. I love what you're saying. Come to peace within with the issues within yourself. It's sort of microcosm, macrocosm, kind of all the same in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Energetically, it is to us. It's identical energy. There are just the dynamic of the consensus reality has a certain greater power to it right now because of the space and time that you are in the transformation of your species.
Could you explain that a little bit, please?
The transformation of your species?
Yes, please.
Well, but you're growing up. If you really want to understand the dynamic, you are growing out of your adolescence and into your adulthood as a species. It's always been dog eat dog. He who has the most toys wins. Power over, better than, less than, competition and comparison. And that has taken you, that dynamic of that paradigm has taken you a great distance, but it no longer serves you. It no longer serves to do a dynamic of dog eat dog. And if you understand the whole dynamic of the movement, your Bibles talk about a dynamic of the childhood of your species, the whole dynamic of from 5,000 years ago on up until the present is a certain dynamic of and it's much longer than that because it's been a dynamic that has repeated over and over again. But the adolescence of your species has, what shall we say, had a few growing pains attached to it. And now just simply through the dynamic of growth, through the dynamic of having incarnated enough generations, you are moving into your adulthood where you are going to find much more empathy, much more compassion, much more caring, much more sharing, much more understanding, and you're going to realize that you are enough and that there is enough, and not only that, there's enough for all.